Good evening, Bowser, and good evening, Switch fans. Nintendo has got to stop doing this. What's taking place today is just a huge step backwards, and this week I feel like we've been talking about Nintendo making smart moves and going ahead in a good direction, and now they've just done screwed the pooch. All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Today we're talking about a surprise indie sequel being teased and then taken away. We're talking about one of the greatest looking trailers I've ever seen, and I need Grezzo to get on this ASAP for Nintendo Switch. And then we're talking about the tragedy of what Nintendo has decided to do with their eShops. Okay, there's a lot of problems. We're gonna dive straight in. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy the show, and let me know your take on today's topics in the comments down below. I feel like many of you are gonna have a lot to say, and I'm ready for it. It's totally warranted. Get typing. Now, when we talk about my friends at PDP, we're usually talking about their really sweet controllers, the poppable face plates, the programmable buttons. I like that a lot. But PDP also makes some really snazzy Switch cases for you to take your system on the go and keep it safe. And what's great is they have good Nintendo themes and great protection. All right, on the inside, they have spaces for your Switch, for your Joy-Con, and for your game carts. Special slots so you can keep your cartridges secure. None of that cloud stuff flying out, falling everywhere, and relying on the internet. You get your cartridges in your case and you're good to go. I got a special 10% off coupon just for you, my wonderful friends. So make sure to click the link in the description down below. Check out PDP and their products. Every time you do so, it does help support the channel. So if you like GMM and you want to keep it going with all sorts of cool upgrades, hit that link and let me know what you think. Alrighty, there was about to be really big indie news, because outside of Minecraft, there's a 2D game that tries to do similar things in its own way and has been insanely successful and has existed and thrived for many years. That game is Terraria, and today the creator of the game, Andrew Spinks, did something interesting with his Twitter bio. Fans noticed that his bio had been upgraded or updated to show a location stated as Terraria 2. So everyone started to think, oh my gosh, is a new game coming soon? Are they gonna announce the sequel, the future of this beloved franchise? And of course it'll come to Switch, because Terraria has been on Switch for ages. I mean, Terraria is continuing to get updated to this date. They just dropped an update yesterday, and apparently they're working on even more in the future. But they're not working on Terraria 2, or at least not as of yet. Because apparently creator Mr. Spinks said it was just a troll. He was just having good-hearted fun. Well, at least he got out ahead of it and let us know that it was nothing to look into, because I think people were getting pretty hyped about the prospect of a new game in the series, and alas, in case you've seen this or got excited about it, it's not happening. At least not now. Maybe one day. Let me know in the comments down below if you've played Terraria. I actually played it way back on my OG channel. Search the videos if you dare. Whew. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But sometimes you see something so beautiful, I think every eye is just like, and that's how I felt when I saw this new trailer. All right, look, this is lovely on a level. Okay, I don't even have nostalgia for Earthbound. It's great that they put out the games on SNES and NES via Nintendo Switch Online after the Direct. Mother 3 is the one that I think everyone wants, right? We want the translation. People always poking Reggie Fils-Aimé about it back in the day, and it never happens. But this fan group from Curiomatic has made this insane trailer of what Mother 3 could look like if they decided to remaster it for Switch. And man, oh man, it even puts Link's Awakening to shame, because there is something so snazzy, so vibrant, stop motion animation, claymation, cute toys come to life. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. You have to check out this trailer. Kudos to this crew. They did something insane. And Grezzo, I know you're working on a medieval game, whatever that might be, Legend of Zelda or otherwise, but you have to see this. You gotta see what they did, and you gotta try to make it happen. I love the look of Link's Awakening. Don't get me wrong, it's still a really fun looking title. And I want more games to look like this. Yes, I appreciate the look that Triangle Strategy and Octopath before it are going for, right? Pixel art, but HD. But this is like making old style come to life in such a new way. It's one of the reasons why Link's Awakening is such a fun and recommendable title, despite being a Game Boy game. It just comes to life with its upgraded visuals. And I think Nintendo Switch would do well by taking more games, maybe Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, or Mother 3, and making them in this graphical style. Heck, I'd love to see a 2D Mario in this look. Give us this graphical style in more things. Take your popular characters and franchises and do them up like this. It looks so drool-worthy, and I can't believe it's not something I can play. It's magical looking, it's absolutely marvelous, and I want you to let me know in the comments down below if you agree and what game you want to see done in this way. Grezzo, get on it.
Okay, it's that part of the show.
Nintendo is doing something wrong? I mean, it's definitely stupid, it's definitely bad, but it might even be wrong. You might have heard by now that Nintendo has announced they are closing the Wii U and 3DS eShops, and that means Virtual Console 2, by March of 2023. In fact, the shutdown starts sooner because as of May, you can no longer input credit card numbers, and as of August, you can no longer use eShop gift cards. Codes can be used until late March of next year, and then the shops are going all quiet on the Japan front, the North American front, the European front, all the fronts, because the Wii U and 3DS will no longer have a store. Now this sounds like, okay, the systems are done, but wait, the numbers don't line up. When Nintendo shut down the Wii eShop in 2019, the Wii had stopped production 6 years prior. You had 6 years to get your ducks in a row, grab all the games you want, enjoy them, and it still sucked when they said goodnight. The Wii U stopped production in 2016. That means by the time this closed, there will have been 7 years to get this under control. But for the 3DS, which stopped production in late 2020, less than 2 years later, and they're already saying ta-ta. Not cool and not good. And I've seen all sorts of flames rising all over the interwebs. People saying, man, it really is a rental. You don't really own this stuff. What is Nintendo doing? They don't seem to care about preservation. Yo, make more of this stuff available on Switch, why don't you? And Nintendo, man, they had a response. It just ruffles more feathers. They posted this themselves, my friends. This is how kind of clueless on this issue they are. In their Q&A session, it said, once it is no longer possible to purchase software in the eShop on Wii U and 3DS, will you make classic games available to own some other way? Doesn't Nintendo have an obligation to preserve its classic games by continually making them available for purchase? Fantastic question, Nintendo. Awesome that you asked it for us. Their answer, though, less than impressive. Across our Nintendo Switch Online membership plans, over 130 classic games are currently available in growing libraries for various legacy systems. The games are often enhanced with new features, such as online play. We think this is an effective way to make classic content easily available to a broad range of players. We currently have no plans to offer classic content in other ways. If you felt like the drip feed was drip, 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 it is. If you felt like they don't have a full lineup for a virtual console, they don't. The Wii U and 3DS were really great in that way, not to mention all the other games that are available, not virtual console, not classic, on Wii U and 3DS. Stuff like Fire Emblem Fates Third Campaign Revelation, yo, you can't get it anymore. So this is saying goodbye to a lot of things, and it brings up all those questions of video game preservation, how we view these games, and are they really ours, all that stuff. And I know, like, it has to cost a lot of money and take a lot of time and a lot of server power to keep these things up and running. And so I understand that eventually they shut down. 6 years feels short but decent, but like 2.5 years for 3DS, that is downright rude. Now, they obviously expect you to just move to Switch, and over 100 million people have. I mean, the Switch is super popular. It's understandable. Yet a lot of people probably recently got a 3DS. And there's Nintendo fans out there that can't afford a Switch, can't get a Switch, and still play these systems all the time. Imagine if you finally got your first handheld, like your own, right? You'd share with your siblings, but you got a 3DS in 2020. And they're still putting out some fun games, and they're still doing good stuff, and there's a great library. And then 2.5 years later, you find out, oh, it's going away. What a buzzkill. Now, for me personally, I don't pull my 3DS or Wii U out all that often. Like, unless there's a new sequel and I want to refamiliarize myself with the franchise, or I'm feeling particularly nostalgic, like right before Metroid Dread came out, I did go back to play Samus Returns on 3DS. But I also am lucky enough to have a couple of Switches and every game that I want to play. Like, I really have it good in that way, and not everyone does. I'm also old enough to have many of these games in their original NES, SNES, Game Boy Advance form, and that's just not the case. Classic games can be very expensive if you go to eBay, and moves like this end up making them even more. Now 3DS systems and Wii U systems with this stuff downloaded already are going to become exotic, if you will. They'll be really more expensive because it's a way to preserve and keep all those games in a physical place that you can physically have. Now, I do have to point out that as of right now, you can still go onto the Wii U and 3DS and grab whatever you want. So it's not too terrible. I think when it becomes more of an issue is when this is closed and then we look at Switch and we say, why aren't you doing more? Now, hey, they've made some good moves with Nintendo Switch Online and expansion pack lately. Maybe by March 2023, they will have a flourishing virtual console on the Switch. But past precedent tells us they probably won't. At least not in the way that we'd like to see, where there's just every game that we want, like all the catalogs. Nintendo, they're your games. Let us play them. That probably won't be the case, and so now you have an issue where it's like, okay, you don't offer everything on the Switch, it's offered in kind of an awkward way for some folks, and now you're taking away the previous ways we could have it in an easier form, and it just feels a little inconsiderate, yeah? And if we're honest, maybe the biggest crime here is the beautiful dulcet sounds of the eShop music from generations past is being erased from the universe. My children will never know the magical sounds of da 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 da. So yeah, now is the time to fill up your 3DS and Wii U if you want to grab anything that exists on those eShops. And look, life will go on. The Switch is poised to have a near perfect year. I mean, the games have already been great and they're only looking to get better. Nintendo still is doing awesome stuff and we'll still have plenty to play. There'll never be a shortage of things to play, but it feels weird when they're just kind of ignoring their history and their past, and they don't give it as much love as we do as fans. Like, I think we love the lineup, and we'd love to see it easily accessible, playable, and we'd pay for it, but they're like, man, the past is the past. Look to the future. And we do, but I think we also we grew up with this. We learned to love video games through Nintendo, and so we'd like to keep that stuff around. Anyways, let me know your take on the shutting down of the 3DS and Wii U eShops in the comments down below, and let's move to our poll where I asked you, about your 3DS and Wii U. Do you still have one? Remember, our community polls are found on the community tab every weeknight evening. Make sure to subscribe and turn your notification bell on so you can be part of the conversation. 38% of you still have a 3DS. And I told you, that eShop shutting down is more of a problem than the Wii U. 6% still own a Wii U, but 28% have both. So it's more than 6%. It's kind of like 34% still have a Wii U, which is very close to the 3DS, 38%. And then 27% of you have neither. Maybe you never had them, maybe you sold them, maybe you traded them, gave them away to a younger cousin so that you could focus on the Switch. However you did it, these were cool systems and they were a cool part of my Nintendo history and probably yours as well. For now though, let's say goodbye until another episode of GMM. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hit that like button if you did. Make sure you're all staying safe, staying healthy, staying happy, staying positive out there. And until next time, my wonderful friends, SwitchForce out.